Council Resolution Number 94, 2011, prohibiting the City of Auburn from accepting natural gas drilling water at the city's wastewater treatment plant. We have a sponsor. Councilor McNabb, second by Councilor Brower.
Council Resolution Number 94 of 2011 by Councilor McNabb, seconded by Councilor Brower. Whereas the City of Auburn operates a wastewater treatment plant, and the plant has for many years accepted water from vertical natural gas well drilling. And whereas the process for extracting natural gas from vertical wells uses chemically treated water in its process, and that water must be disposed of properly pursuant to the regulations of the Department of Environmental Conservation and the United States Environmental Protection Agency. And whereas the City of Auburn has in past years accepted quantities of this chemically treated water from vertical natural gas well drilling, there are concerns that the water contains hazardous chemicals which may not all be removed during the process of disposal at the wastewater treatment plant, and the final product is discharged into public waterways adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant and may be harmful to the environment. And whereas it is necessary to protect public waterways, and the Department of Environmental Conservation is considering new standards for the acceptance of this type of wastewater, and there is concern that the acceptance of wastewater from vertical natural gas well drilling may pose a threat to the environment. It is desired that the City of Auburn should cease accepting this byproduct from the natural gas well drilling effective immediately. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Auburn Wastewater Treatment Plant prohibits the acceptance of any water produced as a byproduct from natural gas well drilling effective immediately.
Discussion.
Yes, Mayor. Vicki, can you come up, please?
Yes.
Vicki, how long have we been taking this drill water?
We have records going back almost 10 years, but the people at the plant who have worked there longer say it's probably more like 15 years, but I don't have records of that.
Okay, but at least we have records for 10 years.
Approximately.
Now, in this resolution that says there are concerns that the water contains hazardous chemicals which may not all be removed during the process of disposal at the wastewater treatment plant. Now, in your knowledge, based on your knowledge, is that true? 100% true?
We test for certain chemicals that's required by the state. Remember, we have other waters also coming into the plant. We are in compliance. Last year, 2010, I think we had one exceedance, and it was on, I'm going to say TSS maybe, or BOD, and probably not from well water. The state has asked us to test for hydrocarbons in the effluent. We did not find any when we were discharging well water. We also were asked to look for radionuclides while we were discharging well water, and they were well under drinking water standards.
So no radionuclide and the hydrocarbons? Under
drinking water regulations.
Okay. What's that mean?
It's below what you could drink.
Okay. Now, the creek that we have behind the treatment plant, okay, that goes to our neighboring towns.
Owasco outlet.
Right, and that's been a big concern. Is that tested?
We do test upstream and downstream, but it's not for items that you would probably be looking for or that would be in the well water. And I don't have those.
And why isn't it tested for that? Because it's a...
We aren't asked to do that, so we don't. Obviously, if we were asked, we would.
You're asked by the state?
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's designated as a Class C. Class C, which means it's a recreational...
Correct.
Okay. Now, the how much of our wastewater that we take in comes from Marcellus Shale or Utica Shale?
None from Marcellus Shale. I did not look for Utica Shale. I would have to go back in the records and look for that information, and could do so. I would ask maybe Bruce if he knew. None.
None. So we take no
I didn't think
wastewater
so, but I didn't want to.
Or from Utica Shale.
Correct.
Okay. Now, transparency has been a question, has been an issue. Do we have transparency with the haulers that come to our treatment plant?
We sample their water randomly 1 quarter per year. They send us samples every quarter. Obviously, I suppose they could take it from something other than that, but we found stuff in their water, so I believe it is from their well water. Our system works. When we do find something, we tell them they can't bring it until they're within compliance.
Do we take unmarked trucks?
No, every truck that comes in is logged in. They have to say where the water came from. They have to certify that it's not from Marcellus Shale or from horizontal hydrofracking.
Okay, now the state is coming out with a report. Have you seen the new report?
I have not, and I've actually asked the council members and the mayor that I could get in touch with, and I'm not saying I did all of you, that we could table this until we are allowed to read it. It will not be posted to the DEC site until tomorrow, and I think it's over 900 pages long, so I would ask that you give us a couple weeks to review it.
937.
Thank you.
Okay. We're a biological plant.
Correct.
Okay, so explain what that means.
Living organisms in the plant, we feed them with oxygen and with BOD and waste, and they actually eat the waste. They're very sensitive to toxics, and our plant probably wouldn't operate as well as it does if they were exposed to toxins every day.
All right, let's expand on that. Let's say we got these toxins that we're afraid of getting. Okay, so if those toxins came into our treatment plant, explain the sensitivity part. What would happen?
I would expect that they would die off. The living organisms would die off, and we wouldn't be able to treat the water. Something we do test on the influent of the water that comes in from the wells is hydrocarbons, and I've heard folks talk about that tonight. They are always non-detect.
They're always
non-detect, which means we cannot detect any hydrocarbons.
Now, I did get a summary on the study that's coming out by the state, and it says water treatment facilities properly handling flowback water. And it says water treatment facilities requires full analysis and approvals under existing state and federal water laws and regulations, which must be completed before a water treatment facility could accept flowback water. This would include a treatment capacity analysis for any publicly operated treatment works facility and a contingency plan of the primary disposal for wastewater. So now this is from their new report, a summary from their report.
It is in their summary, but in past practice, the pretreatment process, which we are under, requires us to do a headworks analysis and also to set local limits. And that's on the influent water, and that's how we regulate the water that comes in. And it's not just from well water. We get water from industry within Auburn, industry on the outskirts of Auburn, and they all have to meet these limits. If they don't meet them, we tell them they can't bring it until they're within compliance, and we've had to do that with other industry.
Now, so we're doing this now. What the state just came out with, we're already doing this. We
are, but I expect that, and that's why I'd like to be able to read it when it comes out, is that maybe it will be more stringent. Maybe we'll be asked to do more, which we will. I would like to be able to read it. We've only gotten what you have in front of you, which is very, very general. So. Okay, so the stuff that we've been taking for the last 10, 15 years, does this affect our drinking water, the taste of the drinking water? I know Tony's here. Does this affect the taste in our drinking water that we, for the last couple of years, have complained about? Our water does not go into the Owasco Lake. It goes into the Owasco outlet. We pull our water from the lake, and this water is downstream, so it doesn't even get near our drinking water. And that's why I think that's something we need to make clear here. Tony, I don't know if you want to chime in.
First of all, remember that it's important that we all live in a watershed. You know, no matter where we are, we're in a watershed. We're in somebody's watershed. But our drinking water is Owasco Lake, and it is 285 feet above and about 3¼ miles distant from and upstream from the outfall from our treatment plant. That isn't to belie the importance of what we want to do with making the right decisions for the outfall of our treatment plant, because while we're not in that watershed that would be affected by the outfall from our treatment plant, it nonetheless affects all the people downstream from it.
Sure.
But the issues that affect our drinking water occur in a watershed that we're not in, because we don't actually lie in the watershed for Owasco Lake either, okay? And the issues that affect that are a completely different set of circumstances, which we could go into and spend several hours to discuss also.
Yeah.
And it has a different set of circumstances, and the taste and odors have more to do with Asian clams, zebra mussels, and algae blooms at this point than it does with hydrofracking. Although there has also been initiatives and interest in doing hydrofracking, but as we've seen, there has been a ban put on hydrofracking in this watershed, at least for the time being, as they addressed permanent bans in the Syracuse and the New York City watersheds. Okay, but as far as the immediate question, the taste and odor that's been going on in our lake has nothing to do with what traffic has been going through our waste plant in the past several years as far as exported material being brought in to be treated. It's physically impossible because of the difference in elevation and the flow patterns. They're in different watersheds.
Thank you for clarifying that, because that's been some confusion around the community on this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay.
Now, Vic, I think that what's also getting lost here is this is about treatment of water, not drilling. Okay, we're not drilling here. We're not going to be drilling in the Owasco watershed. This has nothing to do with that issue. It's completely separate. Leaky wells, this has nothing to do with us. Okay, that's a drilling aspect. But as far as our day-to-day operations, okay, down at this treatment plant, and I've spoken with you, I've spoken with members of your staff, and many of them are beside themselves on this issue because they just don't understand really what the outrage is. Now, you talk to these haulers. You talk to these people. It's part of your job to do that. Okay? Can you give us any background, any insight that we're not seeing as counselors to help us make an informed decision as to whether or not this is something that we should be very seriously concerned with, and it's something that the city is not addressing?
I think if we were taking Marcellus Shale, yes, you should be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we were taking a large amount of horizontal frac water, then maybe you should be concerned. We're taking very little, and now nothing, but even over the years, I think the maximum was 0.5%. So I don't think it's a huge issue. The people that haul to us, we've gotten to know them. I don't think they're lying to us when they come in and say that they've gotten it from this one or this one. And they have to sign stuff, and they have the paperwork. The well drillers, the development companies have to certify that it's not from Marcellus Shale or that it's horizontal. In my mind, we aren't doing anything wrong at the plant, and we aren't harming the environment.
No, can you give us the breakdown of the stuff that we take? You just mentioned 0.5%. You said 99.4%. I remember you saying this at the last council meeting, of what we take in is what, water and salt?
Do you mean of the well water?
Yes, of the well water.
The well water itself, I can't remember the numbers, but I'm going to say at least 95% of it is just water. And then there's a certain amount that are solids, which is the sand that they put in it. And then a very small percent, and I can't remember the numbers, I'm sorry, I had them last time. I'm going to say maybe a percent of that is chemicals. I hope that
we
helps
can treat.
Yeah, well, we're getting non-detect, so.
Okay. Now, what is this going to do if we don't take this? How is this going to impact the city of Auburn?
I did an estimate over the last 3 years of what the revenue was, and it was approximately just under $600,000 a year. So that's the impact. It obviously won't hurt the plant not to take it, although we are under capacity. The biggest thing is just the revenue, I guess.
Okay. Now, we keep hearing how good our lake is doing and how we are fortunate. I grew up in this community. I've lived here most of my life, other than going away to college. I have 2 children. I bathe them with water from Owasco Lake. Again, not really related to this issue. This is going to be my home for probably the rest of my life, unless God has something else in plan for me. But this is where I chose to live. And this is just as much of a vital interest as it is to anybody else in this community. Okay, and I've done calls. I've been very skeptical of oil companies, gas companies, government agencies, and I make sure that I do my research before I come to the decision. Personally, I think number one, let's at least give our staff the time to read the full report, since they won't get it until tomorrow, and at least give her another 2 weeks to read 937 pages to read that, so we can make and she can make a more informed decision on exactly what the state is going to do. But there's a good chance that the state is going to say you can still take this stuff, correct?
I don't know, but reading the summary, I think that yes, they will say we can still take it, especially what we're taking.
What do you mean by that, especially what we're taking?
We are not taking anything from Marcellus Shale, we're not taking anything, and we're only taking vertical, so it's not a lot either. So
when they say, okay, it's similar, vertical and horizontal are really not that different, but they're different because we don't have the volume that you would take in from a horizontal, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we're nowhere near our full capacity in what we take in.
No, we average 8 million gallons a day, and the plant is designed for 12.
So again, we've been doing this for 10 to 15 years, and everyone's commented in here on how great our lake is and the fishing and everything else. We can't compare it to the Love Canal or Onondaga Lake. It's two different stories. No one's dumping anything into our lake, and we'd be the first to scream if someone was doing that. But I at least would like to table this.
Is it a motion, Counselor?
Yes, sir.
Motion to table. Is there a second? No second, Counselor. So no action on your motion. Any other discussion in regards to the resolution? The motion was not tabled, or motion was pulled.
My question is what are we going to stop taking next? I know Councilor Brower's been talking about sludge. We better look at not taking sludge then either, because that's more dangerous than this stuff is. And then let's look at all the other stuff that we take. Septic systems, let's not take that stuff either. I mean, where are you going to draw the line? If you three are going to go this far, all right, be willing to go all the way. Be consistent.
Good point, Counselor.
Well, let's see it.
Any further discussion? Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Counselor McNabb?
Aye.
Counselor Smith?
No.
Counselor Brower?
Aye.
Mayor Quill?
Aye.
Carried.
We realize it's a very emotional issue, and we'll just move on to the next resolution.